going to be talking today a little bit on nutrition, specifically during prep time for you know bodybuilding clients. I'm going to hit specifically on the bikini prep world. We're seeing it once again in the fall here. Just irresponsibility of coaches taking their clients to very low levels, having them on those very low levels for an extended period of time before the prep would actually start, and then not building them up in the off season to where they should be. So I'm going to touch on. I'm not going to give names. I'm not going to talk about who these coaches are or the clients. But I'm going to give kind of some horror stories here that I'm hearing about. Some which I have picked up those clients and they've told me, sent me over their logs, things like that. So you can take it to the bank that these are real things going on in the world. So recently I picked up a bikini competitor, just competed last weekend, and looking at her log here, she was on 1,500 calories from June until, again, just competed last weekend. So you're looking about 5.5 months of 1,500 calories or less. She got as low as just over 900 calories during her peak week. In most of her actual, what I consider prep time, in that 12 to 14 week range, she was sitting 1,200-ish, 1,300-ish calories and below. Some other things that we saw in there were very low carbs. Again, approaching days. We're going to have days where we're going to drop them low, 50 to 75 carbs, things like that. That's normal. Having, days of 100 carbs, that's all normal. But to have an extended period of time with no refeeds, no high days, what would be considered a higher day being 120 carbs at 12 weeks out, 10 weeks out, it's ridiculous. We also saw the fats drop extremely low. I saw a day of 15 fats, multiple days, weeks in the 20 to 30 range. It's a good way to shut down some hormones for females. Luckily, this girl did not lose her period. Very surprised about that. So overall, this girl's metabolism is wrecked. I think she went on stage at about 108 pounds. She's not a short girl. I believe she was in the 5'7", 5'7.5" range. So again, a couple things that went wrong here, and this is from a registered dietitian that was her coach, which is pretty irresponsible, unethical to be able to do that. I'm going to touch on the RD thing for a second. Just because someone is an RD does not qualify them to do any kind of prep coaching. That seems to be a big thing that some coaches are throwing around. They have their RD and they have this degree and they've worked with these people, those people. The education behind that does not justify working with any sort of athlete, and especially a bodybuilding competitor. Obviously, this person needs to go back to school if you're dropping people's fats that low and the calories that low. So, take that with a grain of salt. These big teams that are out there, these bikini armies and all that stuff, find a coach that's going to be reputable. And if anyone needs a recommendation, of course, I do take on bikini clients, but I know plenty of coaches that are reputable that I can refer people to. And that goes beyond bikini. That's for bodybuilding as well. There's no reason that someone should ever be on that low of foods during a prep. So many of I'm very good at building people's metabolisms. I've had many girls that eat 300, 400 plus carbs a day. We're looking at ranges of 2,600 calories to upwards of 3,000 and over that. I've had girls win shows on, coming down from 400 carbs in the off season. And to put it in perspective, the last couple girls here, the lowest that they got, one of them got down to 1,335 calories during her peak week. That was still she had 2 days of about 50 carbs. Still pretty good on the fats in the 40s. and she had a good amount of protein in there. The lowest I've ever taken someone for 2 days during her peak week was 1150. Again, I believe she placed sixth in the Open at 35 years old, 4 kids. And again, she was there for 2 days. 2 weeks out, she was still eating 1,450 calories. We still had a high day of 300 grams of carbs in there. So again, there's no reason to drag girls down or drag any client down for that long. For those people that are competitors, there's no reason to starve and suffer. I've never put anyone through more than a 12-week cut. There's absolutely no reason to, unless someone is coming down from extreme obesity or severely overweight. To compete, we all like those stories. When people do lose 70 pounds, 80 pounds, 100 pounds to go on stage, that's all well and good. But when someone already has a decent amount of body fat, you should work on building that metabolism, helping build the muscle, fuel the muscle during that prep. And when you start to bring them down, you do it at a responsible rate. I'm not going to get on to science. I'm not going to talk too many specifics. This is more or less just kind of a warning to anyone out there who is competing and looking to compete. And it's happening. I mean, these are just a couple cases, again, that we see. Specifically this girl, that was the third case that I heard about from the same coach within 2 weeks. And again, unethical, irresponsible. But when you guys are playing into it, when people are paying them the money to coach them, that I get it. Sometimes you're just going to listen to your coach. But you got to start to think about these things. Ask other people, ask around, find out who's going to help build your metabolism, find out who's going to feed you and do it properly. And to pay, these girls are paying, close to $200 a month just for nutrition. There's coaches, myself even, that are a lot more affordable than that and will actually do it right. So as you look for coaches for springtime, or if you're, going to finish out with your coaches now, just make sure that you're doing it at a responsible rate, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to kind of stick out for yourself and find out why your foods are dropping so low. And hopefully in the off season, they're smart. You're all smart enough to build your metabolisms, build muscle, and come in during the spring a lot better.